how are we lovely twins all doing? I'm going to wait for people to get on, and then I will start the reading and update you as to the information of what's happening, because it's been pretty heavy. Do we have anyone on yet? As I'm trying to randomly I have tuned in, so it's not I haven't tuned in. How are we all? I'm cramming my brekkie, multitasking. Hello, Jennifer. Lucky you get the update. How has your energy been? Hello, Heather. How are you? Are we living the dream in this twin flame journey? Hasn't it been hectic? I did think about doing a video the other day, but I would have been a blubbering mess. So I kind of thought, yeah, and, you know, I may do one of those yet. You just don't know. Because I think it's good to be authentic and real within the environment, and I think we're all really going through the same thing right now. And it doesn't matter what stage you are actually in the journey. I think energetically speaking, I'd say that it's been pretty heavy. Hello, Gabby, how are you? Yeah, the energy's been really heavy, and look, I do have some masculines that come to me for a reading. That's right. Yeah. Look, I was going to cuss, and I have started becoming a little bit more real with the authentic me of who I am. I mean, for YouTube, obviously. Hi, Wendy. Welcome back. Hello, Sarah. Yeah, I've been a bit more me, but you know, I just that's all I can be is me. So I have some massive information. Hello, Diane. Okay, now for those of you who are or aren't twin flames, this really doesn't matter, because this directly is going to affect women and men regardless. So don't just stick it in a box of saying I'm a twin flame or I'm not a twin flame. It really doesn't matter. This is really the energy, you know, environmentally speaking, of what we're physically feeling, as well directly connected to the divine masculine and feminine. Now, the masculines have asked me to really tune in and give them some heads up, you know, because a lot of the perspective doesn't really come from the masculine's point of view. So the information that I've been asked to relay from one client in particular, I won't say your name, has been like, he hit me up and he says, you know, I don't have a lot of people actually coming from the perspective of the masculine. You know, can you tune into me? And I said, yes, I can. So I have written down some notes as to the downloads I've been receiving, and obviously the environment that's been going on currently, which has been shit, quite frankly. And anyone who's been saying they're perfectly aligned and, you know, experiencing this, I feel it was probably from before the 31st. I think it was more from, yeah, from January, the end of January, I think the energy started getting quite heavy, and I was like, oh, I can feel something here. Hey, Jen, living the dream. Aren't we living the dream? So I'm just trying to wait till people get on, and, you know, we'll have a quick chat and then I'll get straight into it, because there's a lot of information I've got to give you guys. You're in class, Beth. Well, put the sign thing on so you can actually just read it as you're studying. You're in class. Well, this is like class, really, isn't it? Finally caught me live. Yeah, I tried to do different times, and I'm really going to start doing some workshops connected to twin flames, because this energy is the most of my clientele. Although, you know, I've just been guided really to do videos connected to the psychic gift. A lot of people don't know that I'm able to do different things as well. You know, sometimes we're actually placed in a box of what our experience is, yet you don't know that, you know, I am actually experienced in other areas. So, you know, I can tune into past over loved ones. That does come through at times. Oh, well, it'll still be here for you, Beth. You can listen to it after. You're grinning big, are you? I'm glad you're grinning, Jen. I haven't been grinning through this process. Okay. Let's get down to business, eh? Okay, so basically, it's been a pretty shitty few weeks, I would say. And I'm not even going to hold it back. I'm just going to be straight to the point. Lots of energy has been coming through. We've had lots of changes and shifts. Now, the masculine has been quite blocked. Energetically, from what I've been receiving is, as we as feminines energetically shift and step into our power, I'm finding that it's almost like the masculine then to catch up. The universe is either intervening, or, you know, they're really feeling this drag where they're thinking, God, you know, I can sense this environment, I sense this vibe. Now, both of the masculine and the feminine are going through extremely heavy energy. Now, if you're all the way out there, you physically would not be listening to this video, you know, because you'd be guided correctly as to everything you've been going through. I very much feel energetically from what I've been receiving is, number one, if the energy's getting heavy, first point of advice, get yourself grounded. You know, when you're in that moment, you're not going to feel, I'll answer all your questions shortly. I'll wait till sort of, you know, I've got a break in between and then I'll answer your questions sort of at the end. I mean, feel free to keep writing them, but I just want to tune into this information and try and get it through to you. So, when you're dealing with aspects of triggers, I'm going to do some workshops on them and try and teach you, you know, how to deal with that trigger and why it's coming about. Also, when you're going through this energetic field, what you're going to need to do is have your little toolkit ready, okay? Try and get up out of your head, have the pause if you can, or energetically move through the energy. I mean, there's not much you can do about it but go through the energy. While you're in that frequency of, you know, you feel things are coming at you at left field, you're going to need to get yourself grounded. Get your shoes off, place your feet on the floor, get yourself grounded. Be it go out in the grass, you know, walk on the grass, walk on the dirt, get yourself grounded. Remove yourself from energetic fields, from any white noise or anything going on. It's too energetic, because when you're in that vibration, you'll physically notice, especially as twins, is that it's almost like there's a signal. I mean, I've had plenty of experience with this, so trust me, especially from a psychic's point of view. You'll be having the crappiest day, and it's like it's a sponge to it. So all of a sudden, you're thinking, really, I'm purging, I'm going through an aspect of things going on. Camera's a bit dodgy there. And then suddenly, everything's going to start coming at you like a sponge. It's a bit like you're a magnet to that energy. Hello, Kim. So you're going to have to remove yourself from the white noise, from the environment around you. So if it means you need to adhere to your sense of responsibility, be it at work, switch it off for a sec. You're going to have to. You got no choice in the given situation. And lots of us have been experiencing that, where we're thinking, really, I'm purging and I'm at work, or I'm purging and I'm dealing with children. You're going to need to somehow push the day, block it out, try and block it out, and if you can't, well, you're just going to be a magnet, because it's just going to be one of those days where you're going to have to try and work with the energy. When you do physically have the time to get yourself grounded, you're going to need to get yourself grounded and use that time to not tune into it and try and problem solve, because it's not the best time to do it. So you need to physically shut out the white noise, place your feet firm on the ground and ground yourself, as well as salt. Salt. Wash yourself. Cleanse yourself, cleanse your house, get your smudge stick. I mean, I physically did that the other day, and you'll find when you do that, a lot of purging will come about as well, where it's also going to protect you in a sense of a white light, but it's also going to do something very different. It's going to protect you from the negativity that's been latching onto you. Because as I said, from the end of January, this has increased in trend. Now, I don't feel it's a permanent thing, although they have said this energy is going to be there for 6 months. I think it's a transitional phase we're going through, because we're energetically being pushed to catch up, because the universe is believing we're ready. It's a very yucky process. The feminines are going through the same as the masculines, but it's different. We're really working on, it is 6 months, unfortunately, but energetically not. It's different. It's an adjustment phase of us getting into that frequency, and then it will be something we're physically used to. So, I mean, you know, most of the astrologers, I'm not an astrologer. I tend to go from environment, instincts, experience, you know, my psychic gift of what I'm receiving as downloads. So that's the perspective I can speak from. I don't tend to look at astrological as much, although sometimes I tune into it, but not as much. Welcome to the channel. Hello, Maria. Okay, we're having a workshop on what the energy is connected to the twin flames at the moment. Now, it has been very energetic. So what you're going to need to do is, while you're going through this transition, you're going to need to keep your wits about you. You are going to make it through. There is the support there, and by all means, if you need it, I have been working with one lovely lady in Melbourne. She knows who she is. I'm not going to say your name. Big shout out to you. And I also work with Jen. You know you love me, Jen. And it's great. You really do need the support, and energetically, where we're being moved to in life, especially as twins, is to be sort of like, it's like you're a helper. That's a really crappy way of explaining it. You'll find energetically the same frequency of people will start coming into your life, or the complete opposite, where you spiritually can help them. I know you know I love you, Jen. I love all my beautiful family on YouTube. They're lovely. Now, we as twins are here to support each other, as well as, even though I may be further along in the journey, that's why I'm able to help in this process. But you know, at times, obviously, I'll be purging as well, and I do learn directly from you guys. So sometimes what you'll find is your physically purged aspects, and then obviously me as a reader, when I'm going through the reading with you and helping you get to that point, I'm then going back down memory lane. So energetically speaking, I have to be very mindful of my energy field, and really do the work, do the purging, notice the trends, in order to assist all at a whole level. Okay, the masculines at the moment have a very heavy energy. Feminines, though, you are coming into a space where you're owning your power, but it's like you're further ahead than you actually think. Try not to focus too heavily onto the twin, although I will really get down to the grit of the masculine today. So for the feminines, what I will say is, you guys know that you want life to look a certain way. I've also had a question connected to why I make mention of the 3D and the 5D more so than the 4D. Now, it's almost like a scale. It's almost like the Libran energy. You got the 3D, which is the physical world, the in-between, I'd say, you know, where you're having that awakening process, and the 5D where you've made ascension. Okay, so some of us are going through a few things at the moment. It's like we have a semi-blockage. It's like the energy's coming up and down, up and down. So we are swapping, and it's almost like a nauseous effect, or squeezing through the eye of a needle. That's the best way I can describe it. So it's like we're jumping back and forward, but we haven't completely got that balance yet. And it's not that we're meant to be perfect, so don't get up in your head and go, oh my God, I've got to be perfect. You know, how am I going to make this, you know, twin flame connection balanced? How am I going to get from A to B, and be at that perfect point? It is not about a perfect point. It's about purging. It's about owning your power. Balancing your chakras or removing them to a point where, you know, you're able to cope with energetic things that are going to happen to you. I'm going to have a puff because I'm still tuning. Jen's probably laughing at me. I haven't thrown any cards yet, Jen, so it's all good right now. So the energetic way, the best I can describe it is, you'll find at times you're energetically focusing. Yeah, I will. Here you go. I'll throw the cards. Is that okay? Just for you, Jen. Energetically, you're going to be feeling like you're focused too much on the 3D. And a lot of what's been happening is, it's almost like the feminines are getting too up in their head about their goals. So, and again, that's going over old ground, connected to, I need money, I need a house, I want to get married, I want to have babies, I need my twin to be balanced, is he ever going to get his shit together? Now, that is ego-based, okay? That's all the 3D stuff, that's all. But it's okay that you're going through that energy. Timing, you know, are we going to go back over old ground? Fear-based scenarios, you know, feeding the ego. When you're getting up in that space, That's okay. It's meant to happen. Don't get paranoid. Oh my gosh, I'm not on track. No, you're actually on track. It's part of the process. There's no fast track way of doing it. Obviously, there's help in a sense where I can assist you in a way from understanding from where I've been to where I am now spiritually speaking, and that can energetically get you in leaps and bounds. But it's going to be horrendous going through it because it's not a natural way of doing it. So, you know, for me, as a spiritual healer and a twin, I was obviously a twin from birth, your process in life is all part of the equation. So if you're wanting to fast track that phase, I can tell you it's going to be painful. It's not an easy process. Also, a lot of things, feminines, you feel you can't do, depending on where you are in the journey, you'll be really surprised as to what you will and won't tolerate. A lot of information that's been coming through is, if my twin does this, I can never accept it. If my twin, and like energetically, that's for those twins who are further back in the journey, that are stuck in the nature of the old paradigms. Now, when I'm saying that, it's more directly connected to the traditional ways of living. And that is, you know, and again, it's about purging, because it will directly, you've got to link back in the chain of where that stemmed from. The 3D of having a traditional house, the white picket fence, the children, the social acceptability of the situation for it to be politically correct. Now, when you're stuck, that is an energetic field where you're going to be shoved through, and it's a horrible energy. Those twins are the ones that are further back in the journey, because you're still stuck in that. But that's not to say the ones that are further along in the journey don't go back over old ground and feel that. And it's an aspect of, you know, your chakras, the unblocking of the things that you've held in so tightly, because it's the knowing of what you know that you're holding on for grim death to, because it's what you know and it's what kept you safe. But it didn't keep you safe. It actually kept you in a box. And, you know, feminines, you have actually outgrown that box, but you're getting triggers from universe. It's not just internally. They've been buried, they're deep inside, and the triggers are coming about, and you're going, oh, this person's, and it's not karmics. It's not just karmics. Karmics, are, you know, it can be your twins' ex, or your twins' children, or your friends, or your co-workers, or your family. These triggers are coming from everywhere. Now, this generally happens when you're nearing to a point where you're coming closer to union, because energetically speaking, the society's way of seeing things and perceiving things is spiritually growing. Also, you know, it's testing you to have unconditional love in all aspects, but also to question your truth, which means it triggers an old aspect in you because you're questioning your path. And then you're going, why is this person saying this? This is triggering me. You know, so it might be your mum saying something about your journey with your twin, or your road in life. It might be your co-workers, your friends, you know, children, exit, anyone. It can be anyone. So it directly will connect with you how it's coming about. But energetically speaking, it's going to come about when you least expect it. Now, what else am I tuning into? Money is a big issue with the masculine at the moment, and I do feel as though they're going through an aspect of the dark night of the soul. I also feel this is energetically for the feminines and the masculines, but very heavily what you'll find is, because the feminines are looking over the old aspects of all the things, you know, the house, needing the car, needing the money in the bank, paying the bills, being very strict with, you know, your energies, looking at old ways of doing things. And for some of you, maybe looking back over old scenarios and old relationships that maybe they were better. Maybe they were worse, you know, however you're directly weighing up pros and cons connected to it. Now, because your energy is like that, you're also triggering the masculine, which is a very uncomfortable feeling for the masculines. So they're really getting to a point where they're realizing, energetically speaking, you're physically coming to a place where you're growing spiritually. And as you do, they are too. They're actually forced to do that. I don't feel that ego is ever purged and dealt with directly at one given hit. I also do not feel that you can go through the dark night of the soul in one hit, unless you're doing that, you know, in different, how do I put it, chemically speaking. I did see that someone was actually doing that aspect through, I think, frog poison, and I was like, oh, interesting, okay. You know, there's a natural way of doing things, and okay, each to their own. Old paradigms are being gone over though. So feminine, because your scales are going back and forward and you're going, look, you know, I'm really wanting to move forward and I can see the bigger picture of this. Lots of triggers are coming through. Hello from Chicago. Hello from Perth, WA. So money is a focus where masculines and feminines are really going through. Also, your vibration and your frequency is changing. So you're getting to a point where you're bouncing all over the place, and that's because you're going through a Kundalini awakening. Now, again, I don't feel that happens in one hit either. There are stages of it. So, you know, especially when blockages come about, I feel as though, you know, it will come back again where you're doing more work to really align yourself correctly. For the feminine, lots of things from the past are cropping up, but this will be for the masculine as well. Physically, environmentally speaking, for myself, I've had these odd occurrences where, you know, my grandmother used to eat licorice all sorts, and suddenly I'd be seeing them on the shelf, and L&P, you know, which was from my childhood, really drinking L&P, Corona, I think it's called, you know, from New Zealand, you know, different things connected to maybe meals you'd eat or memories you'd have, just little triggers or little memories, but these are more positive things, not just the negative. So it might be you're getting little cues, and it's almost like you're trying to look at life before in a positive way. Why that's coming through, I don't know, but it's just something I've physically noticed. You're also trying to look, you are visually feminines, looking at things very rationally, and it's actually scaring you because you're almost looking at it from an outsider's point of view. So it's like you physically removed yourself from the situation to have a third person's perspective, which is a good way of healing. You know, I very much do suggest that when you're really stuck in a situation and you're sort of here, and you're dealing with an energy of someone, you know, that has directly caused a trigger, it's very much better to look at it from an outsider's point of view, because then you're gaining more clarity connected to what's going on in your life. So I do feel as though you guys are actually, some of it is nostalgia connected to childhood, and old people are going to start coming back into your life, but many of you are purging people. So it might be, vibrationally speaking, the old of what you felt connected to, you're finding you're no longer connected to it. So this can be friends that you're physically coming to a place where you're saying it's not that you wish ill towards them, it's just due to your road and you know, what the energies you're currently dealing with, you just don't have time for dramas. So you're so purging, really. You're dealing with your triggers, you're dealing with your life, you're dealing with the 3D as well as the 4 and the 5D. You know, you're trying to really evolve as a whole person, be it masculine or feminine. That a lot of your environment is physically changing. So friendships that you've actually had, where you just can't be bothered with, you're just not tolerating it. It doesn't even knock with your frequency, and if it does, you're physically removing them from your frequency. Okay. Now the masculines are coming to a place where they're being triggered by the feminine to own their power. This is becoming a very agitated energy, and I have started making an album in a folder for February connected to the energies, and I'll do this a little bit later. I have put one folder in there already, and it's the Divine Masculines. You know, I do link direct you know, lately music as a download has been coming through for me. So I'm using this as a tool to be able to speak from their perspective. So I am making a folder directly connected to the energy in February of what they're currently going through, so you can understand how they are really yo-yoing at the moment. And it's a very unsettling feeling for them. It's really quite yucky. So as much as you might be in your head thinking about your physical journey, that is very natural. And you might feel, energetically speaking, some of you don't actually wish to spend time together. And it's not that you don't want to be there. It's that while you're doing that energy work, either the universe is splitting you temporarily, and this can be energetically you tuning into them is becoming difficult, but I think as you're nearing union more so, you're more in tune to them. But it just feels like for a 4 or 5 day mark I'm feeling from this video, and it might have already started, I'm feeling and hearing. That energetically what you're currently dealing with, which is you going through this frequency at the moment to get to the other side, doing this adjustment, you may not feel a direct connection. Now this can be physically speaking, it can be vibrationally speaking, or you know, at a 3D level, you know, where they might be going overseas, or they physically could be just being distant towards you, but not necessarily where you're disconnecting. I don't feel you physically feeling an umbilical cord is cutting. I just feel because you're purging, you just naturally don't have that energy levels to be dealing with theirs as well as yours. Many of you will be okay in this energy. Some of you will feel very frightened by it. And very agitated. I do feel both masculines and feminines very, very emotional, and very much up and down, you know, like a yo-yo. And I mean, I can speak from experience. I've been doing that this week, you know, really. And, you know, emotionally speaking, they do say when you're purging, you can Google it, apparently you're supposed to let it all come out. So and I've tried really working on that, because energetically, it's a bit like exercise. It releases an aspect of energy. So too does, you know, intimacy. So too does crying. But you need to let it run out. You know, from a video I did watch, it's connected to, you know, you're crying to the point where your nose is running and you're letting it all come out and you're not controlling it, because it's almost a lack of acknowledgement of pain. By you removing it, it's physically stating it's not acceptable, and you need to accept that it needs to come out, that the emotion and the hurt needs to come out. So when you're doing the purging, if you're needing to cry, let the shit fall out. It's a better way of actually dealing directly with the energy. But then you'll find it'll be like, almost like you've just, you know, flipped, because once you've done it, you just get to the point where you move along and you're dealing with the next aspect of purging. Okay, what else am I picking up on? Oh, the joy. They're finding, the masculines are finding it very challenging. They're also giving an aspect of their power away. Good girl, Jen. Okay, so through the readings I've had, I have noticed a trend. Some, as I said on the 3D, they are moving away. The masculines are moving away. Others who are directly in contact and linked up, it's not so much they are. They're around, but they're doing their thing, you're doing your thing. You can go from highs and lows. Sometimes you can be there for each other, sometimes you can't. But it's just an energetic shift. Understand that. It's a really yucky energy. Base chakra is very activated. For some of you, it's like your body is experiencing ache and pains, feminine. This can be your hip areas. This can be anything connected to ailments of your base chakra. So very much, if you're needing to get a pap smear, go get a pap smear, because it's activated very heavily. Also, this can be that it's clearing and it's preparing. It's preparing for spiritual growth and joining, so to speak. So it can be lower back pains, hip and joint pains, you know, kidney infections, situations like that. Also, your heart chakra and your spiritual sense is realigning. So that has been very activated as well, where, you know, you're really getting to a point where your heart chakra is, you know, healing, and you're feeling, you're trying to find the peace, but you're carrying burdens on your chest. Almost like an asthma attack. You know, the energy is very heavy. It sort of feels like, you know, your lungs are squeezing. It's feeling very odd, a very odd energy. I'm even feeling it now, so I'm probably picking up on all of yours. Now, all of these comments don't remain, so if you're wanting to put comments up after and you want me to read through it, you know, go for gold and I will do it then. What else am I picking up on? Okay, so the masculine's energy, they're at a bit of a crossroad. They're also giving their power away, connected to, you know, what they're needing to do, and how they deal with the energy. They're not liking the transition. It is very much the dark night of the soul. The masculine's also feeling very, very depressed. So at times for the males, they're really coming to a place where their ego is, you know, kind of being triggered, as well as they're feeling as though, how do I put it? Their ego is being triggered, as well as depression is quite heavy within them. For those of them who are further along in the journey, it can be aspects of really placing a wall there for protection. Also, they're getting triggered by the old ways of doing things. Now, again, I did watch a video connected to the masculine's perspective, although I currently can tune into the masculine's perspective. It was a very interesting watch, and I would have put the link down there, but I can't remember now, so I can only relate, you know, directly from my experience of what I'm picking up, as well as the way they were expressing their experience of what they've physically been going through. Now, what they were saying is, and what I've visually been seeing, is the masculines are changing, and it's because the feminines are stepping into their power, and they're changing and owning their aspect of, you know, really going into the dark night of the soul, but stepping back into that masculine energy and getting, sort of just getting on with life as you know it, sort of thing. It's triggering the masculine to step into their power. Also, it's making them go over old ground. So, and this is for feminines and masculines. So, any old ways of doing things, feminines, you're going back over old ground. You're really looking back, and that could be, again, I had triggers connected to childhood, good and bad. Also, the old paradigms of, okay, well, you know, what you moved away from, spiritually speaking, when you come to a higher place of ascension, you do find you don't tend to worry about the 3D things as much, you know, and that can be the money because of the laws of attraction. You know that God will give you, or universe, whatever you believe in, will give you what you physically need. So spiritually speaking, you don't tend to worry about that as much. So when the ego interferes in that and your chakras aren't aligned, you know, triggers can come connected to the 3D. So feminines are going over, you know, 3D related issues. Oh, you know, I wanted a house. Oh, you know, gosh, do I have enough money for food? Or, you know, am I paying the bills? I'm being very strict with their energy. And I do know through a reading I did with a feminine about last week, I think it was maybe Monday, we were talking connected to something she was doing, and I won't go into details, I'll keep her secret confidential, but she was doing something for pleasure, in a sense of exercise, in a sense of physical activity, and to internally, as I said in the last video, get her sexy back. So a lot of the feminines are stepping into that energy. Now, what came through in the cards and what I was channeling was she was treating it like a job. So you've got to energetically get, when you're doing something at a level of, you know, entertaining yourself, or, you know, it might be you're going out and you're dancing. Are you taking that too seriously? Are you trying to turn it into a job? Or are you actually, you know, taking a bit of the masculine energy, which they were quite fancy free. So, you know, the things they did was at a different level. We are to own that of what they have, because it's almost like what they have in them, I've got a reading shortly, what they have in them is what we don't have in us. So it's the yin and the yang of each of us. So, you know, environmentally speaking, you'd be looking at your twin and thinking, gosh, you know, they're so, it might be at times you look at them and you think they're immature, but deep down inside they're very, very strict with themselves, but they are happy to go with the flow. Also, They are adventurous in some ways, which at times the feminine is very strict with their energy. So when I explain it from that perspective, you need to try and have a look at your situation and say, where am I being too serious and too strict with my life? It's almost like the feminines do have. It's almost like you jump outside yourself and you're telling yourself off and saying, no, you know, you mustn't do that. You've really got to stay on the straight and narrow head. That's not acceptable. You're really being challenged to loosen up a bit and try and not take everything so seriously. And definitely, it's like we do believe that a life is in a box and that's where we should be. And it's like we have outgrown that. Yet we keep placing ourselves back in that box, you know, where it's like, no, that's what the 3D says we should be. This is our house. That's where we belong. We need to stay in the constraints of that paradigm. Okay? That frustrates us, but yet we keep doing it. We keep getting to a place where we're letting go of ego, you know, just going with the flow. And you'll actually find, environmentally speaking, feminines, when you're going with the flow, and you're not trying to control aspects of what's my twin doing, where's my twin, is my twin on track, is my twin seeing someone, is my twin being, you know, gracious when it comes to his energy? Is he being loyal? When you're tuning into that, you're micromanaging the situation and you're actually not doing the work on yourself. You do and you will energetically, depending on where you've come to in your life, get to a place where you realise love is pure. Love has nothing to do with chains, or how can I put it? Chains, or even the aspect of unity. You know, it's supposed to be, it's a vibration, it's a feeling, it's two spirits connecting. So it isn't supposed to be, well, okay, because I have that piece of wedding paper, that means this person is going to energetically be faithful to me. If I have this house, it means that, you know, I'm safe. Because ultimately speaking, if that's energetically not for you, what will happen is the universe will force your hand and you will lose your house, or you can't pay your payments. So it's a fake perception of a 3D of what you feel makes you safe, because they're what society has shown you. Yet it actually is not real. It's so in life we have the good, the bad and the ugly. Vibrationally speaking, as twins, we're to understand, really, to get into that energy in 2018. That's why we're feeling quite yucky right now, is what we learned last year we're not applying right now. And it's just coming up for a good punch in the face, so to speak, so that you can understand you don't need to go over that old ground. And it's, so forget the house, forget the old 3D of, you know, wedding, and, you know, that means I'm safe. And that's not to say that that's not going to happen at 3D and that it's not pure and beautiful. It's got nothing to do with that. It's your mindset connected to what that means. You need to rewrite that chapter, because that has changed. As you spiritually grow, the 3D of what that meant in here, it doesn't align anymore because you've changed. Also, the 3D connected to house, meaning safety. You are your safe haven. You have energetic fields to protect yourself at a financial, emotional and physical level. Yet we have too long, masculine and feminine, looked outside of ourselves to fill that need. So energetically, you're really being forced to own your power connected to that, and to retune connected to why you have thought that. Because it's actually blocking you like a wall. Masculines, let's go into masculines. You guys are feeling in some shape or form that you have to, and they're dealing with the feminine aspect of things. They've been really stuck. So at one stage they were very fancy free, rebelling, and the way that one situation was expressed to me, this chair is very painful, was that the masculines at one stage in the journey, at the beginning of the journey, you know, when they did start running, was that the people they were directly vibrationally attracted to, and that can be friends, karmics, you know, work, they were directly circling themselves with who they were at that point in time. So the reason why you both vibrationally could not be together was because your path was different to what theirs was. Yours was really to come out of your shell, feminines. I don't know why I keep going back to the feminines, because there's a lot to say about the masculines. Yours was to come into your power and to not look outside of yourself for, you know, feeling whole. And you were projecting that onto the masculine. So the trigger between you guys coming together and then seeing something inside of each other was to go apart, so that the feminines could do the work and come to that place where they weren't questioning the 3D outside of themselves and getting their power back. But then you go through a different stage after that. I'll leave that alone for the minute. Okay, masculines. Internally speaking, they were not projecting out, but they were attracting in, because there was toxicity happening inside. Feminines had the same aspect, but they were projecting it out. So we were verbalizing things more, expressing things more. You know, some of us breaking down, some of us crying, some of us having nervous breakdowns. You know, and having triggers connected to situations like that can be bulimia, you know, self-harm, situations like that. For the masculines, they were harming themselves inside. Now, what they were doing was, their belief system inside was, I am not worthy, I am not enough. And yet you were thinking that that was about you. That actually was not about you. This was them inside themselves. So the path that they went down was to attract what they believed inside of themselves. They were feeling that they were unworthy. They were feeling like a failure. A lot of where they felt abandoned and not loved, they would push people away, but only attract what they think they were able to receive. So the benchmark was down here. And that's not to say that the people that came into their life were less. It's just they had the same viewpoints. So emotionally speaking, aspects of purging were only naturally going to come about by these individuals coming into their life. So, you know, humbly and gratefully feel grateful that these spiritual people at that wavelength came into your divine masculine's life. And divine masculines, please understand that that is why those people were in your life. You know, a lot of them had felt that they were the only people that would understand them, although I do feel as the feminine has matured, it's not judgment that they actually feel directly connected to the masculine, although they're really trying to understand that you have unconditional love for them. And some of the feminines really aren't there yet. And you don't feel you will get there. You will, but this is a learning curve that you go through, because when you totally separate yourselves from being together, you do grow, you know, you grow immensely to the point where you can look at it from an outsider's point of view, as well as heal your issues and realize that both of you have had issues going on. And energetically speaking, the love that you had was pure, but it had to come to that healing place where it was a safe way to love each other, because you're so energetic. Now, the masculines at the moment might be going over old ground. So, you know, they're going to be maybe getting triggers connected to their old ways of doing things. And that's not to say they're going to go off and cheat. Because energetically, if spiritually they have outgrown that aspect, what I'm hearing, and directly from a masculine's point of view, that I have watched, you know, on YouTube, is that a test will come for them, and they will come regularly, and that's for masculines and feminines. Now, when that test comes, what happens is they're going over old ground, which we're doing as well. So, you know, there's your cue. Always pay attention to the signs connected to what's physically going on with you. Now, the old ground they're going to go over is directly connected to old triggers. So this can be, if they went to strippers, they'd go see a stripper. But vibrationally speaking, when they get there, they're actually going to realise that that's an old paradigm of way of living. And it's going to make them feel very uncomfortable in that energy, like it's the old them. It can be going over old ground connected to toxicity, where it's drugs, alcohol, addictions, old ways of doing things, you know, where they might go there, yet the triggers are going to come where the aha moments are happening and they're going, oh, this isn't working, A. This is hurting me, B. Is this me anymore? You know, do I want to live in this vibration and frequency for the rest of my life? So a lot of these things are coming up, and as much as at the 3D, the visual level, where you're seeing and experiencing this vibration, you're really being asked to focus on yourself and understand as you do the work, this helps them to start that process, because you are a twin soul. You have power. You have power within yourself. Let go. Just let go and keep going. Lots of triggers as well have been coming from karmics. Now, again, I state, let go. Try not to involve yourself in it, especially if you're in transitional phases. Energetically speaking, those karmics are there to help you. Don't look at it as you're in danger, or your energy connected to your partnership with your twin is in danger. Trust me, it's a blessing in disguise, because they trigger your twin. That was the way they were. They're not that vibration anymore. So you need them to be able to be triggered by this karmic. And that karmic can be anyone. It can physically be children, bosses, family, exes. Let that energy happen, because spiritually speaking, they then step into their power. Some of the feminines are enabling in some way, but you're also getting that balance back where you're bringing it back. So it may be that you're quite givers, and I do know feminines are real loving, nurturing people, and, you know, they're, you know, sorted to the point where they just give. That's been out of balance, and that's agitating you at the moment. So you're almost like putting your foot down, and it's not to punish. It is not to punish. It is physically to get to a place where you have the balance. You know, if you don't, it feels out of whack. It doesn't feel natural, and you feel like you're staring off your path of ascension. So these triggers happen for a reason. So just follow the cues and keep doing the work, and you're going to get back on track. This can be connected to giving and receiving. It can also be connected to, you know, any expectations that people place on you, where in the old ways of doing things, masculine and feminine, you know, you really would adhere and just give in. Masculines are really giving their power away, connected to doing things for people and doing things that don't vibrationally connect with them anymore. And they're like, why do I keep doing this? And it's almost like they're really being drawn to a point where they're asked to, how can I put it, find their spiritual place, because they've physically come to a place where they're going, this spiritually does connect with me. Now, this can be a path. This can be a way of, I feel it's a way of doing something. I feel it's almost an environment as well. It's not environmentally friendly, I'm hearing. I don't know why. But I'm hearing it's not environmentally friendly. Because it's like, and I wouldn't say, it's making them sick. It's affecting their sleeping patterns. They have a very heavy energy. This can be sheer depression. Again, dark night of the soul. Don't take it personal when they're going through this, because you're going through the same ascension process. It's just in a different way. It's almost like a lot of you also are getting triggers from external, feminine and masculine. You're also, it might be as you near, what you find, as you're getting closer to union, what happens is, energetically speaking, because your vibration and your frequency is becoming higher, generally you'd say, oh, I'm going to attract more of the same. Unfortunately, you don't, because you're coming to that purest form, and it's not that you're, you know, you're pure. I mean, we're not perfect. We're human, with the spirit, yes. But it's like, it's almost like triggers from the outside don't want you to reach that point, and I don't know why. Maybe it's to push you into your energy more than to prevent you, but triggers are going to come nevertheless, and I'm being told yes, that's correct. Okay, so as you move forward, triggers externally to pull you guys apart again is going to happen. Try and not take it personally. It's going to feel like shit. You're also going to get angry, but what you're going to do is, if you're perfectly aligned and ready for that, you will work together. Okay? You'll work together. And again, I will say, don't feel that when you are together that it's going to be perfect, because you're yin and yang. So it's like it's going to be topsy-turvy. And you are going to deal with, you know, energies of purging when you're in it. It's a bit like having a breakup and then jumping back in the deep end. You're going in with baggage. Even if you've never had a partnership and you get into a relationship, you're coming in with life baggage. So that's sort of what's going to happen at the 3D of when you do actually connect with your twin, because you'll be doing the work yet again and purging. And that's for any male and female in any given life situation. These are very much the energies of what are coming through. The masculine is being really, really forced to see the signs, but they've also given their power away. Now, I've tried to say this several times, and I don't know why I'm being muted by saying it. It's almost like they don't want you to know. Now, they're giving their power away in a sense that the universe, they're sort of going, you know what? I don't know what to do. There's no quick fix solution, so it's easier if I just let the universe force my hand. For those of you who understand what I'm talking about, that's what's going on. So there is a block connected to their road, what they're wanting to do, how they get from A to B, and they do have the solution. They actually have made a decision. They do know. It's because they're being pushed into the feminine energy of responsibility. And also at a financial level, which I picked up on this before, ego-based, they physically feel that they have not got the finances to do this. Their energy of who they are is directly connected to a block connected to cash. They do not want to come back to you needing on you. So if you're working with them and they don't have any money, this takes away their masculine energy. But what they need to realize is money does not mean you're a man or a masculine energy or safe. Again, it's old paradigms. So, you know, they're working on that, but they're going to be triggered without it. I'm just going to say it. They're going to be triggered without it. They don't like it, but that's the way it is. That is what life is right now. And the reality is, in any connection, it's the good. It's for better and worse. It's for the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they just haven't accepted that because they don't feel they're acceptable. So it's an energy of them feeling worthy connected to cash. And I have mentioned it in another video. There very much is a connection to heart chakra and abundance of if we feel that we do not deserve love, we do not have cash. And mine must fluctuate because mine comes and goes as quick as it does. So it must be, I deserve love, and then bang, gone, and then it's like, oh, I got to work on that again. So obviously we're all going through that at the moment. So, yeah. But I feel for the feminines, you're not as focused on it. I feel that's why that's happening, because you do know that you will always be provided for at any level of what you need. Sometimes you are getting up in your head about it, but I think it's more prominent in the males. Okay, now what is the environment around the masculines and where the block is? Witchcraft. What a load of shit. Anyway, tuning in. Now, okay, the masculine is feeling that they need to be responsible, but they're being a bit too strict on their energy, a bit too strict. They're also blocked, connected to cash, and they're trying to manifest how they're going to do that. They feel in order for them to have a stable union with you, they need to do the work inside, and this can be moving by the 27th or on the 9th, I'm hearing. 27th of what, I'm not sure. Now they're working on the emotional inside. They feel that in order for them to offer you something, they physically need to have cash in order to be worthy of that. Okay, now there's some connections in their life that they're physically needing to walk away from. They directly feel that in some shape or form, be it work, be it friends, okay, I'm being told every area, some sense of upheaval is is really not vibrationally connecting with them, and they're just feeling, this is not me. Again, I do feel it's really clashing. Thank you. Thank you, Giggle Glimmer. I just ignore it. Doesn't bother me. I've got used to it now. I must have my white light around me. I don't really care. This is who I am. I truly do not believe psychics would have been made on this earth if we were taboo. Okay, so masculines connected to their connections are physically feeling that their intuition is telling them the truth, okay? So they're getting really, they already know. They're like, shit, you know, this is not really vibrationally connecting with me. They're not even passionate about what they're doing. Yeah, and it's like, okay, for some masculines, I do feel as though, again, this does come from childhood. It's like you either want to rewrite a chapter, you want to unwrite a situation and do better than you did before, but that was the past. That is not now. In order for you to ascend forward, what you need to realise is, in breaking a cycle doesn't mean to say it's this given situation that you need to fix. You just need to let it go. That was then, this is now. Start that new chapter. Let that go. That no longer serves you. Let it go. To the left, you know. And those of you who are masculines that are working at this level right now, again, I did say it was happening in February. It's a yucky feeling, and I really, really strongly apologise, but it's for a purpose. So, you know, we can't really kick ourselves about this, because a lot of the cards that are coming through is fours everywhere. Fours everywhere. Now, okay, you don't feel this is a perfect reality, what you're living, masculines. There is not as much love as you would like. The passion connected to it is not there. You tried to paint a picture of how it can be. You've worked at it. It's like you move forward and you retreat. You try another angle and then you retreat. And it's just, it's really, really yucky, where it's almost like you're at rock bottom. You're sleeping a lot, some of you. And I wouldn't say it's just you're giving your power away. It's like you're just at the point of giving up. You just don't know what to do. Now, you thought by Christmas something was changing, okay? And this is about your stability, your life, the given situation that you're currently dealing with. But you haven't got anything back out of it than you put in. So it's like you put 20 times in, yet you've got 0 out. It feels the energetic field is exactly the same. Now, you're going to have an inspiration connected to this, and I think it's intuition. And it's connected to a home. And the fact that some action has not been taken, and it's affecting your physical health. All right? It's affected your creativity and financial levels, but you thought it was helping you. And you now see that your dreams are getting hindered by this road. Okay, now their energy particularly, they're not feeling grounded due to the situation, due to the purging. They don't know what way to go. They can't go any way but up, because at the moment they've hit rock bottom. And with the purple, there is a clearing of this energy. Now, they're going through an awakening ascension process, and their crown chakra is going to be activated. And in some ways, they need to forgive. But it's themselves. They're not forgiving themselves. They're expecting themselves to be perfect, and it's due to a past tense event, as well as, I would say, childhood-related blocks of what's going on. Okay, there is no pleasure at the moment in their life. They can't see what way to go. But they are getting insight. They can see it, but they just don't know how to fix it. They're not knowing how to fix it. So it is, energetically, I do feel that universe is helping them in this process. It is a very, the answer right in front of them. They can see, yeah, I know that. They can see it, but it's guilt connected to. I can shortly. I'll do a bit of a read at the end, but I am late for a client, so I might have to come back on after. Okay, now if you guys are wanting a booking, you can go to the link which I will add down below. I hope this has helped. Any quick questions before I run away and leave you all? Just know that the feeling I'm getting is that the masculines really are doing a lot of healing. It is a very painful feeling. The vibe I'm getting, environmentally speaking, is try and light yourselves, both feminine and masculine. It is very painful. It is a very emotional time. You know, I've had emergency clients come in left, right and centre. It's been very hectic, especially as a twin. Emotionally speaking, I go through purging as well. So don't be surprised if you get me on here crying my guts out, but I'm still giving you a reading regardless. I mean, that will be very attractive, but hey, we're real. But emotionally speaking, there is a lot of pain. They're fearing rejection. They're also fearing that they will not be loved and accepted. They're very, very angry at their past, but they need to let go of that, because very much many of the feminines have let go of that. That again does depend on, you know, where you are energetically in, you know, in the journey. It is quite a heavy journey, so energetically speaking, depending on where you are in the journey. Now, I will be trying to do some workshops connected to, what's the word? I'm going to try and add something onto my website where we can have open conversations regularly, maybe every 3 days or something like that, as a support section. So I'm looking at that, but that'll be a little bit later. I've got to do some tuning into that first. Okay, love yous all. Feel free to leave comments on the actual video once it's uploaded, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.